A few days ago on my community tab for my YouTube channel, I posted this question right here. What would kill a Left 4 Dead 3? Almost always, whenever I hear anybody talk about Left 4 Dead 3, everyone is talking about the things that they would like to see in a potential third game. But I thought it'd be cool if we took this question and turned it on its head and simply change it to, what would you not want to see from a potential third game? So that is exactly what we're doing here for today's video. I have taken some comments from this post and also within my Discord, because I asked the same question over there, and I'm going to now showcase a majority of what everybody ended up saying as their responses. Now, since my community is not the biggest community on YouTube by any stretch of the imagination, I can't advocate for all of the Left 4 Dead community on what they believe would kill a third game. So if any of you have your own thoughts and opinions on what you believe would kill a potential Left 4 Dead 3, please by all means leave your thoughts and opinions here down below in the comments as well, just like everybody else. All that being said, if you guys have enjoyed today's video, please drop a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all the beautiful stuff, but let's begin. Lack of mods. Yeah, in my opinion, this is one of the few things that would be an immediate kill shot for a Left 4 Dead 3 and automatically kill it at launch, because if Left 4 Dead 3 is not supported with mods, it's going to die. Even if it didn't die right away, it's eventually going to die. The only reason why that Left 4 Dead 2 is still alive and prevalent to this day is because of its mod support. Even though Left 4 Dead 1 didn't have as relevant of mod support, it still had mod support nonetheless. And if Left 4 Dead 3 didn't get any mod support, that would be a big problem. Weapon skins or any type of cosmetic markets involving real currency, it would definitely ruin immersion and make the game look wacky for everyone instead of just people using mods. I can tell exactly where this type of comment is coming from. This guy and just many other people in general don't like modern marketplaces in video games because they're just a shit ton of battle passes, cosmetic skins, loot boxes, and other random just junk that just makes the game just tacky and just not look good. The appeal with mods, unlike a marketplace, is that if you don't want to see some of the things that are being used by other players, you don't have to. If you have a mod, you can just turn it off on your end and then you don't have to see it, but your friends can still use it. But with a marketplace where people are using actual real-life money, those are going to be something that the developer is going to make sure that everybody can see in the hopes to not only incentivize other players to possibly purchase a skin, but so that way the person that bought the skin can show it off to their friends. Honestly, I think customization would kill the game. For example, in Back 4 Blood, you have more customization, and I think it really takes away from the game. Same with new Call of Duty games. Being able to get an overpowered gun defeats the purpose of the box or wall guns, and I feel like it would be the same way if Left 4 Dead 3 included this. I can see the lack of appeal in both of these, but the gun thing concerns me more, because Call of Duty was especially heinous with this, with some of their games that had supply drops, because fuck those things, those were cancer upon themselves, because the idea of getting a random loot crate, in any game for that matter, I don't even like them in CSGO, the idea of getting a random loot crate with the possibility of never getting the one thing that you truly want, no matter how much money you are willing to spend, infinite money, is completely dog shit. It is trash. But just because I don't believe in supply drops, I think most modern marketplaces are better despite their own unique flaws, I'm not going to fully defend them either, because modern marketplaces have the Fortnite effect where every single person and their grandmother thinks they can cram a battle pass into their game, even though some games don't need it. And I feel like that Left 4 Dead 3, if it ever did come out, would suffer from both of these. I would think that the loot boxes would be more severe, because the idea of having an exclusive gun behind a crate that you can't control would be terrible, but the idea of also having a battle pass with exclusive content that is for a limited time only, and then just going around having like emotes and skins that you can't turn off if you don't like seeing them, would definitely be frustrating too. Microtransactions in any form. Yeah, throughout this video, there's definitely going to be a couple trends that you'll notice because there's a lot of similar opinions for certain subject matters, and this is one of them. Expectations. With how good the first one was, and how timeless and a masterpiece the second one was, there is nothing they could do. It's got the same problem that Half-Life 3 has. The fans in both the series have waited so long for a third game, and realistically, there's no way they can meet the expectations. Also, modern trends like BRs everywhere and battle passes and always being online would probably have some kind of impact on it. Maybe not BRs as much. I like your answer here because you're listing expectations, which is not necessarily a very common answer, but it's a very mature answer because, yes, Expectations are way too damn high, and I guarantee you if a third game ever came out, they would never be met. I guarantee you the exact same thing is going to be happening with GTA 6, because just like GTA 6, the idea of any of Valve's titles getting a third entry, whether that be Team Fortress, Half-Life, or Left 4 Dead, those games would be so hyped up that it'd be impossible to live up to expectations. I guarantee you that regardless of what the game did right, you would be disappointed in at least something. Indulge me for a second. Let's play a little game. Let's say that I have $1,000 and I give it to you. If I gave you $1,000, how would you feel? You'd probably be pretty happy, right? You'd probably be thinking, being like, damn, in today's economy, I could use the $1,000, thinking about all the different things that you could spend the $1,000 on, groceries, bills, gas, etc. Now imagine I open my wallet and you see that I have an extra $1,000 in my wallet and you see that equals up to $2,000. And then all of a sudden you're thinking to yourself, being like, damn, I have $1,000 right now, but this guy could have given me $2,000. I feel like this is how players are looking at a potential Left 4 Dead 3. You're going to be disappointed in something. You're going to still enjoy a decent majority of it, I would hope, but if you're still going to go into it thinking that it's going to be a completely perfect game and going to be exactly custom tailor-made for you, you'd be delusional. It falling victim to modern gaming. Battle passes, releasing unfinished, copying instead of innovating, drip-fed content, etc. Left 4 Dead is from another era of gaming altogether, and as much as I'm wanting to see a Left 4 Dead 3, I'd be afraid of it not living up to expectations or being just downright terrible. One of the biggest sins for modern gaming is releasing unfinished products and thinking that it's acceptable to just fix it later. Or hell, not even fix it later, just not fix it. Sometimes with modern gaming, it's a gamble of whether or not that you're going to get a finished game or an unfinished game. It's like developers are like used car salesmen now, where they try to hype up all these crazy, awesome things about the car, and you're just suspicious in the back of your mind, being like, is this guy fully telling me the truth? Is this going to meet my expectations? Am I getting scammed? That's literally what it is. Modern gaming is like trying to go get a game from a used car salesman. It's just a lot of lying and mistrust and gambling about whether or not your money is going into the right place and if it's worth it or not. And the idea that we, as gamers, have made it acceptable, based off our purchase history, of buying games that are unfinished in the hopes that they will be fixed later and be drip-fed over months and months and months and months, sometimes even years, is a joke. If Left 4 Dead 3 ever came out and released in an unfinished state in the hopes that it could just be fixed later just to make a paycheck would just be a travesty. Characters not being funny. I mean, the Left 4 Dead 1 characters were not as funny as the Left 4 Dead 2 characters, and they were still enjoyable. Personally, I think that a lot of the Left 4 Dead characters are still fun, even though not all of them are to the level of Ellis. But yeah, I can understand if the characters are boring, if they fall flat and they're very dull and bland, then that would be frustrating. No Midnight Riders. I mean, this personally wouldn't kill the game for me, but yeah, this would be disappointing if they weren't in the next game. Having a majority of the escapes be gas-related or a new escape method that's clearly annoying, having the game be an open world, not having previous campaigns, and having a horrible community, but that's most likely going to happen. Well, if the community ends up being toxic on a potential third game, that's just out of our control. But for the other three, if a gas can finale is in like a campaign or two, that's fine. But if it's the majority of the campaigns, especially if it's also just an annoying new concept, that would definitely be a buzzkill. Back 4 Blood had some annoying-ass campaign steps that were just very tedious to go about. Having the game be open world, if it was like, let's say, a hub world, and like the actual campaigns were a separate thing, that could be fine, but if the whole entire game is just open world, I wouldn't want that either. And then having it where that there's no old campaigns in the game either, that would also suck, but if worst case scenario, you can always just mod them in if they did have mod support. If it's only online multiplayer and you can't play split screen on the same console with a friend. Dude, I mean, honestly, even though split screen is not really a thing anymore, nor is really any sort of like LAN parties where people come over to your house to play a game with you and most people just play online on a separate console, I would love if there was split screen on this game too, just because it would just be a classic nostalgia thing for me. I always enjoyed every single time when I would have split screen gaming sessions with my friends at birthday parties and we'd have soda, bags of chips lying everywhere, just sitting on the couch and having a good time. And that is something that is irreplaceable. And if you have a split screen in this game, even if it would be for a very niche amount of players, dude, that would be the ultimate fan service. Now, circling back to the other part that you said about the game being online only, dude, that would suck donkey dick. I never understood the idea of making a single player game, or a game in general that's predominantly single player, a online only game where you have to have Xbox Live or PSN or something to the equivalent. If this game ever releases, you have to make an offline mode or something, because if you can't play without having a subscription service, dude, that's going to automatically kill for a lot of players, because believe it or not everybody has internet at all. Some people have internet, yes, but it's not even necessarily the best internet. Some people are just barely able to get by with what they have. One word: specialists. See, this depends for me, because if the game has it where that the specialists are drastic, it's going to make it a problem, because everyone's going to pick only the good characters, and regardless of how good the lore is with some other ones, if their skill set is just bad, people will not play as them. But if it's very minute changes, like let's say one character reloads slightly faster, another one runs slightly faster, things like that are fine, because they'd be so minuscule. But what I will say is that where this could be a problem would be a versus or a competitive mode. Specialists in any multiplayer game ever, every single one of them that I have ever played, one character or maybe two at the most will always end up dominating that lobby until it gets nerfed, and then it happens to another character, and the cycle rinses and repeats indefinitely. As long as the game exists, people will pick whatever the top two characters are indefinitely. So to prevent breaking multiplayer, you would just have to disable the specialist features and just make the characters cosmetic. Boring characters / boring story. Yeah, if the characters and the story is not engaging, people will actually fall out of love with the game pretty quickly, because even if the gameplay loop is good, if people can't keep in touch with the story, they just won't play it. Anything that ruins the teamwork aspect. Yeah, this is going to have to be a cooperative-based shooter through and through, because that's one of the things that people are expecting of this game, and if there's no teamwork involved because some sort of feature gets added or removed, this would be a massive problem. Imagine if, like, let's say the director stopped working the way it did and spawned infected no longer in front of a person that's rushing away from their teammates. It would make it where people just feel like that they could just abandon people. Another card game or something that uses buying systems, like buying things in-game or having coins to purchase a gun or more special zombies, could ruin it. I agree with you about the card aspect, because the card system was one of the more complicated and frustrating things about Back 4 Blood, but what do you mean by more zombie types? Do you mean like you no longer want to see any new special infected be added? Because I think that would be a little bit personally disappointing. I would love to see at least one brand new special infected, hopefully even more, in a potential third game. Because if it's just the same old special infected, it'd just be Left 4 Dead 2 with a new coat of paint, which is not a bad thing. But if I'm paying for a third game, I would like to get a third game. If I'm paying for remastered, I would like to get a remaster. So if you could elaborate what you mean by that, please do let me know in the comments. Open world, bad environmental storytelling, or mission-based level systems. Just stick with campaigns and keep the storytelling good. So basically just more of the same is what I'm seeing. Removing mutations. Dude, I would hope that they wouldn't remove anything from the existing game, because we need more, not less. We need to have all the existing content and then some. If they take out the mutations modes, that would suck. Lack of a workshop / modability. It's the one thing that keeps the game alive while real updates aren't being pumped out. If they put in microtransactions, definitely. If they removed / changed the mod workshop system, I'm out. Secondly, if they did follow through with the supposed open world system and it was ass, I would say that the open world aspect that Valve had in mind would have probably alienated a fair majority of the player base. Oh, here's one I know you guys would definitely hate. Taking out versus, or likely using only versus survival. Oh, this would cause riots. And then you also listed can't pick up a higher tier weapon unless you level up from some sort of system. Yeah, rank ups would only be useful if you could do it for rewards and not because you're trying to just unlock more base game content. I would love it if there was a rank up system, like a prestige master system, kind of like how there is in COD Zombies, but if you got like rewarded for it with cosmetics and stuff, not to just unlock material that's in the game. No decent storyline after the bombing at the parish, no new weapons, no new modes, imbalance on PvE, scavenge versus and versus survival, card system like Back 4 Blood, no Keith if real, and Virgil interactions, no workshop, and no Easter egg. Dude, this is even Left 4 Dead if this happens. If all of this happens, this is not even Left 4 Dead. This game literally would just be a complete and utter shell of itself. What you're describing is like a Left 4 Dead in a parallel universe if it was owned by Activision. I like simplicity, and what the others are saying, cosmetics are not my thing. This is why I don't like Back 4 Blood. I didn't want to read all the cards and figure out which ones to choose. Customization on guns was kinda cool though, wouldn't fit in Left 4 Dead 3 in my opinion. I like easily just picking up a laser sight and that's the only improvement or better guns. Also, Back 4 Blood during playtesting was just difficult for me. I didn't like how you had 3 lives, I think. Again, simplicity is what I like about the game. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, and I also didn't like the 3 lives thing in Back 4 Blood either. I was thinking about it more and more over the last couple of days, and I honestly should have included that within my wants for a Back 4 Blood 2 video that I recently had made, which for those of you that have not checked out that video, if you want to check it out, I will provide a link down below in the description. But in that video, I forgot about the live system, and yeah, that was one of the things about Back 4 Blood that was definitely frustrating at times. Being able to only play an act, not even a whole entire campaign, an entire act, which is multiple campaigns, and having it where if you run out of lives, you just start the entire thing over again was a pain in the ass, especially on the higher difficulties when you're trying to get those exclusive skins and that nightmare difficulty. I wish that Back 4 Blood didn't have it now that I think about it, and I really hope that Left 4 Dead doesn't add something like that. Modern technology. Let me explain. Both Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 are set in the autumn of 2009. It might be easy to overlook this, but relics of that era are baked into the games. Several of the powered computers in No Mercy clearly show Windows 7 era desktops. The airport has many payphones, hell, even the road signs such as the stop signs in Crash Course are dated as it being built in the 2000s. It would be hard to utilize assets depicting 2009 vibes, as many modern day-to-day stuff we don't think about could be included by staff forgetting something simple like shops, cafes didn't have these types of cash registers in 2009. Capturing the feel of a bygone era you don't live in anymore would be an immense difficulty. And if Valve makes a singular mistake, then it will kill Left 4 Dead 3. Keep in mind all the guns, billboards, vehicles, character outfits, buildings, architecture, phrases used in graffiti, and the background details have to feel believably from 2009. If they make even a tiny mistake, it will ruin the immersion, and I'll raise hell. Just imagine if you were playing Left 4 Dead 1 and saw a crashed background plane, which was more akin to today's than the 2009s. No doubt would turn the original classic into unplayable trash. You had a lot of passion behind that one, and I also respect the originality behind this particular comment, because the idea of the game not being in a setting from the early 2000s would definitely feel different. There's nothing wrong with a time skip in my opinion if it was done tastefully, maybe set it in like the 2010s. Doesn't necessarily have to be like too big of a difference, but yeah, if this was all of a sudden like taking it to 2025 and it was like in the future and we had all the modern day things, it would just not feel exactly like what a lot of people were looking for. Because I know that a lot of you guys that play this game are on the older side. You're not old, you're not unk status as the kids say, but we're older. We're all in our 20s most likely. I see my YouTube demographics, a majority of us are 20-year-olds. And we like this game because it's probably from our childhood and it's something from our past. But the thing is, though, is that there's a fine line you gotta walk. There's a line between nostalgia and innovation. And if you want something new, you have to dip into that territory that crosses over nostalgia. Here's the thing, and I've been guilty of this myself. As much as we say that we like change, a majority of people out there hate change. It's scary because it's the unknown. And the thing is, a lot of people will dip into what's familiar more times than not than what's better or innovative or new. And if you rely too much on nostalgia, you impair growth and you'll get bored and you'll be stuck. And this is what I will say, is that I will say with a Left 4 Dead 3, in order for it to be successful, if you need to end up having some elements with nostalgia and some elements with innovation, this is what you keep. Keep the core gameplay, safe room to safe room, chapter to chapter, horde survival shooter with special infected, crispy guns, and fun survivors. That's what you at the very minimum need to keep. Everything else is up for debate. And then I would say the things that you absolutely need to add, regardless of the era thing, you need to have new graphics because the game needs to look like it's newer. You can't have it looking like it's from 2009 unless you do a aesthetic choice with the way you render the game, which could be tricky to do. You need to make sure that the game has some new content, whether it be new guns, new special infected, a new set of characters, even if they're only exclusive to their own unique maps. Also, new maps. And even if you keep the old content, that's fine, but there has to be something new. Otherwise, you're just getting a Left 4 Dead remastered and paying $80. And then the last thing that would have to be changed, in my humble opinion, and this is a subtle change, but it's very crucial, is crossplay and progression. It doesn't necessarily need to be from PC to console, because I know a lot of people might be worried about the hacking thing, but it's a modern thing that is almost non-negotiable in today's day and age. I would say that if you're going to have a game, at the very bare minimum, you need to have crossplay and you need to have cross progression. It doesn't necessarily need to be a free-to-play game, but if you can't play a game on any platform with your buddies, the game is going to suffer. Everyone has different platforms now. Everyone has an Xbox, Switch, PC, PlayStation, you name it, and this is not just a Xbox exclusive on console anymore like it used to be back in the day. So many different systems are out, and this needs to be available on everything, and you need to be able to have your data be transferred, because we also can't have this in-game store problem like Left 4 Dead currently has, where the game eventually disappears. We need to have all of our stuff carry over from account to account and console to console, so that way we can play with anybody, anywhere, anytime. But yeah, guys, that is it here for today's video, and I do truly hope you guys ended up enjoying it. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. If you guys have a video that you would like to see from me in the future, just let me know via the comments down below. As we wrap up the video, guys, I want to mention two last quick things. Number one, I have a second YouTube channel now. It is called Black Ninja 797 Extras. And on this channel, I'm going to be uploading and posting additional content that you would normally not see here on my main channel, such as gameplay walkthroughs, funny moments with my friends, and Challenge Accepted, which was a series I used to do here on my main channel where I play games that you guys requested me to play. If you want to check out the second channel, there is going to be a link down below in this video's description. I also wanted to say thank you and shout out to Epic Games for being my first ever sponsor. I have a supporter creator code with them, and the code is just my name, Black Ninja 797. If you guys want to, you can use it in the Fortnite and Epic Games item shops. Anybody that uses my code or has used it before in the past, I tremendously appreciate you. And yeah, guys, all that being said, I hope you ended up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTubers are ever going to see. Thanks for watching, guys. I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords, Jesus here, and you better have enjoyed that video there by the eternal god Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too, and give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!